Picture the historic 2026 FIFA World Cup final. Shakira, BTS, Madonna, and Justin Bieber just delivered the most legendary halftime show ever witnessed. But behind the blinding lights, what actually went down when the queen of Latin pop met the kings of K-pop backstage? Rumors are swirling crazy online. We know their stage synergy was absolute fire, but who was the warmest off camera? Did someone's manners completely surprise Shakira? Who was the absolute sweetest? And who kept it strictly professional? What really happens when massive global superstars collide behind closed doors? Get ready for the ultimate backstage vibe check. Can you guess who takes the friendliness crown? Number 7. Suga, the silent titan. Unfiltered respect behind closed doors. Kicking off our list at number 7, we have a member whose initial aura often fools first-time observers, including global legends who walk into the same room expecting an untouchable genius, only to leave with a profound appreciation for his quiet, deeply grounding warmth. When you visualize the sheer mind-boggling scale of the 2026 FIFA World Cup final halftime show, you are picturing a cultural phenomenon watched by over 1 billion human beings across every corner of the planet. Backstage inside the stadium tunnel, surrounded by towering LED screens, endless racks of glittering stageware, hundreds of dancers, and the electrifying presence of global icons like Shakira, Madonna, and Justin Bieber, the atmosphere was an absolute pressure cooker of pure adrenaline and high-stakes tension. In the middle of that blinding whirlwind, Min Yoongi stood out not by raising his voice or commanding the room with loud theatrical banter, but through a deeply tranquil, steady composure that echoed louder than words ever could. For anyone who has tracked Suga's incredible trajectory from an underground producer in Daegu struggling to choose between buying a meal or taking a bus home to a global hitmaker shaping the soundscapes of modern pop music, his reserved demeanor is instantly recognizable. He is the mastermind who inherently absorbs everything around him before uttering a single sentence. Behind the scenes during rehearsals, while others might be networking frantically or caught up in the madness of the moment, Suga sat quietly in the rehearsal lounge, headphones resting around his neck, meticulously analyzing the live sound arrangements and monitor mixes. Yet, far from being distant or cold, those who were present that day witnessed a masterclass in quiet etiquette. When Shakira stepped into the shared talent sanctuary after her high-octane vocal warm-up, Suga was not the type to leap up with performative noise, but his gesture was arguably the most deeply respectful in the room. He immediately stood up, bowed with a genuine humility that crossed all language barriers, and offered a warm, understated smile that instantly signaled pure professional reverence for a fellow veteran of the global music industry. You see, Suga does not overwhelm people with superficial small talk or loud enthusiasm. His friendliness is rooted in deep listening, mutual artistic respect, and subtle acts of extreme consideration. Audio engineers, stagehands, and guest performers have noted for years that Suga is often the person quietly checking if guest artists have proper monitor mixes, ensuring that everyone around him feels comfortable and supported, and quietly stepping out of the spotlight so others can shine. Historically, we have seen this exact same pattern repeat itself in his high-profile international collaborations, whether working alongside Halsey, Juice WRLD, Psy, or veteran producers across Western pop. Halsey famously shared how Suga's quiet warmth, thoughtful gifts, and calm studio presence made her feel genuinely embraced as an equal creative partner rather than just a featured guest. During the 2026 World Cup prep, Shakira's production team reportedly noted how Suga's calm energy acted as an emotional anchor amid the chaotic storm of halftime show preparations. When Shakira discussed the complex rhythmic transitions between Latin syncopated percussion and heavy sub-bass hip-hop tracks, Suga's eyes lit up with the passion of a producer, offering precise, insightful observations that validated her artistic vision while showing immense admiration for her iconic musical legacy. He isn't the friend who showers you with endless social energy in the first 5 minutes, but he is the friend who remembers your favorite coffee order, who quietly holds the door for tired crew members, and who gives you a reassuring nod right before you step out in front of 80,000 screaming fans that says, "You've got this. Everything is ready." Isn't it fascinating how the quietest person in a room packed with the biggest stars on Earth can leave such an indelible mark of total sincerity? As we reflect on that historic night where music and sports collided on the largest stage imaginable, Suga proved once again that true friendliness isn't always loud, colorful, or theatrical. Sometimes the most comforting presence is the steady, quiet soul who respects your craft, protects your peace, and makes you feel completely secure in the middle of chaos. But if Suga sets the foundational baseline of our list with his cool, respectful reverence, what happens when we move up to a member whose friendliness is driven by eloquent diplomacy, boundless emotional intelligence, and an innate ability to bridge entire cultures in a single sentence? Could the next member on our ranking be the master communicator who turned that backstage meeting into an unforgettable moment of pure global unity? Can you guess which member stepped up to speak fluent, warm words that instantly put everyone from Madonna to Shakira at absolute ease? Number 6. RM, the master diplomat, bridging global divides with a single conversation. Stepping into the number 6 spot is the man whose incredibly broad shoulders carry the monumental weight of leading the biggest musical group in the history of the world, Kim Namjoon, widely known as RM. When you imagine the intense, high-stakes environment of the 2026 FIFA World Cup final backstage area, a massive labyrinth of concrete corridors beneath the stadium, vibrating with the deafening roars of 80,000 fervent football fans and the frantic, nervous energy of hundreds of production crew members, the sheer pressure could easily break even the most seasoned performers. It is a terrifyingly beautiful ecosystem of global superstars where massive egos could easily clash and misunderstandings are bound to happen. Yet in the absolute epicenter of this beautiful chaos, RM stood as the ultimate anchor of sanity, diplomacy, and profound warmth. His brand of friendliness is entirely unique. It is not the loud, boisterous, chaotic energy of a party starter, but rather the deeply intellectual, culturally fluent, and intensely empathetic grace of a world-class statesman. From the moment Shakira, alongside Madonna and Justin Bieber, entered the joint rehearsal space, the cultural and linguistic barriers could have created a polite but awkward distance, a common occurrence when colossal celebrities from entirely different musical universes collide in a highly stressful work environment. However, RM instantly shattered that invisible wall with his legendary emotional intelligence, flawless communication skills, and that signature, devastatingly charming dimpled smile. Anyone who knows RM's extensive backstory knows he is a self-taught English speaker who famously learned the language by exhaustively watching the American sitcom Friends. But over the years of endless touring and global press junkets, his linguistic mastery has evolved into something far more profound than just speaking a foreign tongue. He has mastered the rare art of making people from any background feel instantly seen, respected, and deeply understood on a human level. Shakira, who is famously known not just for her legendary hips, incredible vocal prowess, and iconic stage presence, but also for her towering intellect, her ability to speak multiple languages fluently, and her relentless, deeply passionate philanthropic work with her Barefoot Foundation in Colombia, immediately found a true kindred spirit in the BTS leader. Witnesses backstage noted that while other artists were exchanging standard, slightly stiff industry pleasantries, RM initiated a conversation with Shakira that bypassed superficial small talk entirely, effortlessly diving into the cultural significance of the World Cup uniting the Americas and the world, the profound healing power of global music, and the shared heavy responsibility they both held as artists representing their respective continents on such an unprecedented historic stage. His friendliness manifests as a powerful, validating curiosity about the human being standing in front of him. When he speaks to you, his intense, focused gaze and thoughtful nods make you feel as though you were the only person in a room packed with 1,000 shouting crew members and blazing camera lights. It is a deliberate, highly cultivated kindness born from over a decade of navigating complex, often unforgiving international media landscapes, passionately addressing the United Nations Assembly, and constantly serving as the unbreakable protective shield and eloquent voice for his 6 brothers. Furthermore, RM's exquisite politeness extends far beyond his high-profile interactions with A-list celebrities like Shakira or Madonna. He was repeatedly seen utilizing his towering presence to gently and patiently guide his younger members through the crowded corridors, seamlessly translating rapid-fire instructions from frantic English-speaking stage directors with endless patience, and ensuring that every single backing dancer, camera operator, and wardrobe assistant felt acknowledged with a warm smile and a deep, respectful bow. He is the kind of leader who intuitively understands that true hospitality means taking the immense burden of communication off others' shoulders so they can feel entirely comfortable and confident in their own skin. During a particularly stressful technical delay during the dress rehearsals involving the halftime show's massive hydraulic stage lifts and complex lighting cues, when the tension in the room reached an absolute boiling point, it was RM's calm, reassuring baritone voice and endearingly self-deprecating jokes about his own infamous clumsiness, the legendary God of Destruction persona, that entirely diffused the anxiety, transforming a potentially disastrous rehearsal moment into a collaborative, light-hearted problem-solving session that left the international production crew deeply impressed and visibly relieved. Shakira's management team was reportedly blown away by how this towering, heavily philosophical rapper, who frequently spends his rare days off quietly exploring isolated contemporary art museums, tending to his bonsai trees, and reading complex literature, could so seamlessly transition into a brilliantly charming, effortlessly sociable host for the entire global ensemble. He didn't just represent BTS that day, he represented the absolute highest standard of Korean hospitality and global citizenry, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that genuine friendliness is fundamentally about mutual respect, active listening, and the beautiful, invisible art of making everyone around you feel safe, valued, and completely at home no matter where in the world they are. RM's diplomatic warmth is the invisible, unbreakable glue that holds massive international collaborations together, a brilliant mixture of humble leadership, intellectual grace, and disarming vulnerability that undoubtedly left a massive, lasting impression on the queen of Latin pop. But while RM's kindness is deeply intellectual, highly structured, eloquently spoken, and profoundly grounding, what happens when we completely flip the script and introduce a member whose entire existence radiates like an uncontrollable, blinding ray of summer sunshine? Who could possibly be the next member on our list? A man whose unique laughter is so incredibly infectious it echoes through stadium hallways, whose physical energy is so boundless it rivals a lightning storm, and whose pure, unadulterated joy can instantly melt the icy tension of any room within exactly 3 seconds of his loud, triumphant arrival. Could the number 5 spot belong to the ultimate mood maker of the group, the wildly unpredictable dance genius who brings a completely different, explosively joyful, and undeniably magnetic flavor of friendliness to the world stage? Let's dive into the next rank and see who brings the ultimate hype. Number 5. J-Hope, the sunshine catalyst, exploding joy in the midst of chaos. Stepping right into the highly coveted number 5 spot is the undeniable heartbeat of the group, the man whose sheer, unadulterated energy can single-handedly power a small city, Jungkook, universally beloved globally as J-Hope. To truly understand the profound impact of his specific radiant brand of friendliness, you have to mentally place yourself right in the middle of that sweltering, high-anxiety rehearsal space for the 2026 FIFA World Cup final halftime show. When you have legendary, towering performers like Shakira, Madonna, Justin Bieber, and BTS all sharing the exact same sprawling backstage ecosystem, you aren't just dealing with musicians, you are dealing with hundreds of elite backing dancers, world-class choreographers, and demanding creative directors, all of whom are speaking completely different languages, running on absolutely zero sleep, and desperately trying to synchronize the most complex, high-stakes live performance broadcasted in modern television history. It is a terrifyingly intimidating, high-pressure environment where absolute perfection is demanded, and the slightest mistakes are destined to be broadcasted to over 1 billion people worldwide. In this intense, chaotic crucible of artistic pressure, the linguistic and cultural barriers could easily create isolated, unapproachable camps, with each artist's massive entourage sticking rigidly to their own designated, heavily guarded zones. But the absolute second J-Hope walked into the colossal rehearsal gymnasium, the entire atmospheric pressure of the massive room visibly shifted. He didn't just walk in, he arrived like a bursting supernova of pure infectious positivity, loudly clapping his hands, making his signature exaggerated sound effects, and greeting every single person in his immediate vicinity with a blinding, heart-stopping smile that instantly melted away the icy, suffocating tension of the room. J-Hope's extraordinary friendliness is deeply rooted in his foundational background as an underground street dancer from Gwangju, where he learned very early on that physical movement, rhythm, and positive hype are universal human languages that completely bypass the restrictive need for spoken words. Shakira is utterly legendary for her intense, hyper-precise, and culturally rich choreography, blending everything from traditional Middle Eastern belly dancing to complex Colombian champeta footwork. And as a relentless, visionary perfectionist herself, she notoriously demands absolute excellence from her dancers. J-Hope, who proudly serves as the meticulous dance captain and performance leader for BTS, shares this exact same relentless, burning pursuit of stage perfection, a defining trait he famously showcased to the world during his historic, critically acclaimed solo headline set at Lollapalooza in 2022. When these two undeniable dance titans finally crossed paths backstage, the mutual artistic respect was instantly palpable. But what completely won Shakira and her entire veteran Latin dance crew over was how J-Hope consciously chose to interact with them not as a distant, untouchable global idol, but purely as a fellow passionate dancer. During a grueling technical break in the multi-hour dress rehearsals, while other high-profile performers understandably retreated to their lavish private dressing rooms to rest and conserve their fleeting energy, J-Hope deliberately stayed behind on the massive artificial stadium turf. Witnesses backstage recalled an absolutely unforgettable, beautifully spontaneous moment where J-Hope, communicating entirely through enthusiastic physical gestures, rhythmic clapping, and his trademark boisterous echoing laughter, boldly initiated an impromptu, high-energy dance cipher directly with Shakira's core backing dancers. Without needing a single translated word of Spanish or English, he effortlessly and brilliantly picked up the intricate, syncopated footwork of a fast-paced Latin salsa routine, playfully and seamlessly blending it with his own razor-sharp, hip-hop popping and locking street techniques, causing the exhausted, highly stressed-out production crew to immediately erupt into genuine, roaring, stadium-shaking cheers. This wasn't just a fun, passing social moment. It was a masterful, highly empathetic display of true emotional leadership. J-Hope intuitively and deeply understood that the backing dancers and the technical crew members were the ones carrying the heaviest physical brunt of the halftime show's merciless demands. And his unique way of showing absolute unfiltered kindness was to visibly validate their grueling hard work, willingly share in their intense exhaustion, and proactively inject a massive, much-needed surge of natural serotonin back into the draining environment. Staff members working extensively on the halftime production specifically noted that J-Hope was constantly, tirelessly walking around the vast concrete corridors with an incredibly bright, booming voice, shouting uplifting words of encouragement like "Let's go" and "You guys are amazing," while personally handing out small craft service snacks and cold water bottles to completely bewildered, starry-eyed but deeply grateful stagehands who were absolutely not used to top-tier A-list talent showing such proactive, humble, and grounded consideration. Shakira, quietly observing this beautiful spectacle unfold from the sidelines, was reportedly thoroughly charmed and deeply moved by his boundless kinetic enthusiasm and the sheer, unpretentious joy he consistently brought to the grueling, punishing preparation process. She saw firsthand, without any media filter, that his famous sunshine persona is absolutely not a fabricated, carefully curated on-camera gimmick cooked up by a PR team. It is a vital, genuine emotional survival mechanism that he actively weaponizes to protect the fragile mental health and boost the collective morale of absolutely everyone fortunate enough to be caught in his warm, glowing orbit. J-Hope's friendliness is spectacularly loud, incredibly physical, profoundly generous, and utterly beautifully fearless. He stubbornly refuses to let a single soul in his vibrant presence feel unseen, unimportant, or unappreciated, actively and joyfully tearing down the intimidating, isolating walls of global superstardom with a bright, ringing laugh and a widely open, dancing heart. He decisively proves on the biggest stage imaginable that the greatest, most memorable superstars aren't those who arrogantly demand the room's undivided attention, but those who selflessly and endlessly give their own precious energy away to make the entire room shine infinitely brighter. But as we reluctantly leave the explosive, stadium-shaking, joyous hype of J-Hope, we are rapidly and thrillingly approaching the top 4 of our list, and the dynamic of friendliness is about to shift into something entirely different, something so profoundly gentle, emotionally empathetic, and deeply nurturing that it frequently leaves seasoned international celebrities completely and utterly disarmed. Who could possibly take the prestigious number 4 spot? Could it be the member globally renowned for his breathtaking, ethereal grace, the one whose remarkably soft-spoken sweetness and stunning elegance make absolutely everyone he speaks to feel like they are being gently wrapped in a warm, comforting, protective embrace? Keep reading and hold your breath, because the ultimate angelic fairy of the group is waiting patiently in the wings.
Number 4. Jimin, the ethereal angel, disarming superstars with gentle grace. Stepping elegantly into the highly coveted number 4 spot is a man whose very existence seems to defy the harsh, grueling realities of the global music industry, the breathtakingly graceful and profoundly empathetic Park Jimin. To truly comprehend the magnetic, almost mystical pull of Jimin's unique brand of friendliness, you have to picture the incredibly overwhelming sensory overload of the 2026 FIFA World Cup final backstage corridors. An absolute madhouse of frantic energy, screaming producers, heavily armed security details, and towering international celebrities whose massive egos often dictate the temperature of the room. In this intense, hyper-masculine, and aggressively competitive environment of sports and stadium pop music, it is incredibly easy for artists to put on a thick, impenetrable armor of cold professionalism. Yet Jimin walked through those concrete tunnels completely stripped of any defensive walls, wearing his famously vulnerable, widely open heart right on his perfectly tailored sleeve. While J-Hope was busy actively hyping up the massive dance crews, and RM was eloquently bridging complex cultural divides with the executives, Jimin was quietly operating on an entirely different, deeply emotional frequency, naturally gravitating toward the subtle, unseen anxieties of the people around him with the precision of a heat-seeking missile made of pure compassion. Anyone who has closely followed BTS's historic rise to global dominance knows that Jimin is universally recognized as the group's resident emotional caretaker, the fairy-like guardian angel who is always the very first person to instantly wrap a comforting arm around a crying member, the one who gently wipes away their tears, and the one whose soft crescent moon eye smile can genuinely cure the darkest of moods. This extraordinary, hyper-empathetic sensitivity absolutely did not vanish when he was suddenly thrust into a shared rehearsal space with Western music titans like Shakira, Madonna, and Justin Bieber. Instead, it effortlessly evolved into a devastatingly charming, universally disarming elegance that left seasoned Hollywood veterans utterly speechless. Shakira, a fiercely independent and legendary powerhouse who has spent decades navigating the often ruthless, male-dominated Latin and American music industries, is no stranger to aggressive posturing, but backstage observers noted that she was visibly, beautifully taken aback by Jimin's profoundly soft, respectful, and almost aristocratic manners. There was a highly stressful, nail-biting moment during the final dress rehearsals when a complex hydraulic stage elevator malfunctioned, causing a sudden, terrifying jolt that left several of Shakira's backing vocalists and even the queen of Latin pop herself momentarily shaken and frustrated in the suffocating heat of the stadium. While the technical crew was scrambling in a panicked frenzy and other artists were loudly complaining about the delay, Jimin immediately stepped forward, not with loud, commanding authority, but with a deeply grounding, calming gentleness that instantly lowered the spiking blood pressure of everyone in his immediate vicinity. With his hands politely clasped in front of him, he bowed deeply, making direct, incredibly warm eye contact, and offered a soft, reassuring smile that transcended the chaotic noise of the stadium, reportedly utilizing his carefully practiced, endearing English to softly ask if everyone was physically okay, his melodic, breathy voice acting like a soothing balm on the frayed nerves of the international production team. His sheer emotional intelligence is so finely tuned that he can instantly read the microscopic shifts in a room's atmosphere, immediately adjusting his own energy to provide whatever comfort is necessary, whether that means quietly sharing a bottle of water with an exhausted dancer, offering a deeply sincere compliment to a nervous makeup artist, or simply standing as a silent, unwavering pillar of emotional support for his fellow BTS members as they prepared to face the largest live television audience in human history. The production staff noted how Jimin's infectious, giggling laughter, which famously forces his entire body to fold in half with pure joy, frequently echoed through the sterile concrete tunnels, serving as a desperate, beautiful reminder that despite the immense global pressure, they were all there to celebrate the unifying, joyous magic of music and sports. His friendliness is not about grand, sweeping gestures or loud proclamations. It is found in the meticulously polite way he gracefully moves through a crowded room, making absolutely sure he doesn't bump into tired staff members, the way he instinctively reaches out to offer a steadying hand to a camera operator tripping over thick cables, and the way he listens with his entire, deeply attentive body when someone is speaking to him. When Shakira later engaged in a brief conversation with the group about the physical toll of their demanding, gravity-defying choreography, Jimin, who famously shares a rigorous, elite background in contemporary dance and classical ballet, connected with her not just as a fellow pop star, but as a deeply kindred artistic spirit who understands the silent, punishing language of physical pain and artistic sacrifice. He was seen playfully mimicking one of Shakira's iconic fluid hip movements with a shy, giggling embarrassment that instantly shattered any lingering celebrity tension, replacing the intimidating aura of untouchable idols with the pure, heartwarming innocence of a fiercely talented artist genuinely awestruck by a legendary peer. This beautifully contrasting duality, the fact that he can transform into a dangerously captivating, wildly seductive siren the absolute second his feet touch the stage, yet immediately revert to an incredibly soft, nurturing, and devastatingly polite sweetheart the moment the blinding spotlights turn off, is exactly what makes his specific brand of friendliness so incredibly legendary and universally beloved. Shakira's vast entourage, heavily accustomed to dealing with the notoriously demanding divas of the Western pop sphere, were reportedly entirely captivated by this ethereal South Korean superstar who possessed the mesmerizing, flawless beauty of a Renaissance painting, but the humble, deeply caring soul of a devoted best friend, consistently noting that simply being in Jimin's serene, glowing presence made the chaotic, high-stakes pressure cooker of the World Cup halftime show feel remarkably safe, profoundly warm, and beautifully human. Jimin decisively proved to the entire global music industry that day that true strength is not always loud or forceful. Sometimes the most powerful, memorable thing a global superstar can possibly do is to remain bravely soft, endlessly kind, and fearlessly vulnerable in a world that constantly demands impenetrable perfection. But as we wipe away the happy tears and reluctantly leave the warm, comforting embrace of our beloved fairy, we are officially entering the highly exclusive elite top 3 of our countdown, and the narrative is about to take a dramatic, hilariously chaotic turn. Who could possibly break into the top 3? Could it be the member whose visuals are so unfathomably, breathtakingly perfect that he literally stops traffic, yet whose personality is so delightfully eccentric, wildly unpredictable, and universally charming that he completely shatters the Ice Prince illusion within seconds of opening his mouth? Get ready, because the absolute wild card of fanliness is up next. Number 3. BTS V, the social butterfly. Unpredictable charm that captivates legends. Stepping triumphantly into the elite bronze position of our list is a man whose visual presence is so blindingly flawless that first-time viewers often mistake him for a cold, unapproachable artwork, only to be completely disarmed within seconds by one of the most delightfully eccentric, deeply soulful, and effortlessly warm personalities in modern entertainment history. Kim Taehyung, globally revered as V. When you place a human being of such striking, otherworldly aesthetics into the pressure-cooked, adrenaline-fueled chaos of the 2026 FIFA World Cup final backstage ecosystem, you would naturally expect a high-profile superstar to maintain a protective, elevated distance, surrounded by thick security barriers and a hyper-cautious entourage. Yet anyone who has closely followed V's legendary career knows that the word distance simply does not exist in his personal dictionary. He is the ultimate, undisputed social butterfly of the global music industry, a rare individual who possesses zero hesitation or anxiety when approaching literal living icons, whether it was his famous, deeply respectful approach to Lady Gaga at the Grammy Awards that resulted in a viral, heartwarming embrace, his spontaneous jamming sessions and brotherly bond formed with Oscar-winning musician Jon Batiste, or his close personal ties to high-fashion visionaries. Backstage beneath the concrete belly of the World Cup Stadium, while the air was thick with structural tension, frantic technical rehearsals, and the looming pressure of performing for over 1 billion viewers, V moved through the crowded hallways like a curious, gentle art collector wandering through a grand gallery of human souls.
What makes V's unique brand of friendliness so extraordinarily captivating to seasoned international legends like Shakira is that he completely strips away the performative, transactional phoniness of typical celebrity networking. He doesn't talk to you because of your chart positions, your social media follower counts, or your industry influence. He approaches you purely because he senses a genuine artistic warmth or an interesting human story. Observers behind the scenes noted that while the high-stakes halftime show preparations were reaching a fever pitch, V walked up to Shakira with his signature relaxed hands-in-pocket stroll, carrying a vintage analog 35mm film camera slung over his shoulder, wearing a soft, breathtakingly pure, boxy smile that instantly shattered any formal tension in the room. In his deep, velvety baritone voice, a rich, soulful instrument that sounds like warm liquid velvet, he didn't drop scripted corporate pleasantries. Instead, he offered a charmingly poetic, deeply specific compliment about the unique rhythmic tempo of her vocal warm-ups and her iconic, timeless Latin musical heritage, a gesture that immediately caused the queen of Latin pop to burst into a delighted, radiant laugh. V has an uncanny, almost magical superpower of making ultra-famous people forget their own colossal stardom and remember the simple, childlike joy of human connection. He is the person who will casually offer a global superstar a piece of fruit, playfully show them a vintage jazz record he has been obsessively listening to on his phone, or ask to take a candid, beautifully framed black and white photograph of them sitting on a simple production equipment crate. His friendliness is rooted in a profound, unbothered authenticity and an artistic curiosity about the world around him. Throughout the grueling World Cup dress rehearsals, while production crews were exhausted and running on pure caffeine, V was repeatedly seen wandering over to the lighting operators, sound technicians, and security personnel, softly asking them in his sweet, endearing English if they had eaten dinner, playfully offering them bottled juices, and taking candid portraits of the hard-working crew behind the scenes, ensuring that the unsung heroes of the massive event felt utterly seen, appreciated, and valued. His famous Wooga Squad Brotherhood, a tight-knit group of top-tier South Korean actors and musicians, is living proof of his uncanny ability to effortlessly weave lasting, deeply loyal friendships across age gaps, industries, and social status, purely through his raw vulnerability, playful eccentricities, and unwavering loyalty. He is a romantic soul who sees life through an artistic lens, combining the timeless, cool elegance of a classic jazz singer with the hilarious, innocent spontaneity of a free spirit who refuses to be constrained by societal expectations or Hollywood etiquette. Shakira's management team and entourage were reportedly completely smitten by V's incredible charm, repeatedly noting how his calm, unhurried pace and genuine soulful interest in people served as an extraordinary breath of fresh air in an industry often dominated by superficial posturing and intense competition. He doesn't try to impress you with his colossal fame or striking looks. Instead, he uses his platform to make you feel like the most interesting person in the entire world, creating a sacred, comfortable space where artists can drop their heavy, stressful crowns and just be human together. V proved beyond a shadow of a doubt on that historic World Cup night that true magnetism comes not from trying to be untouchable, but from having the courage to approach the world with an open, artistic, and endlessly curious heart. But as we step out of V's whimsical, soul-soothing jazz club atmosphere, we're officially down to the top 2 positions on our list, and the excitement is reaching a fever pitch. Who could possibly outrank the ultimate social butterfly of the K-pop realm? Could the runner-up spot belong to the eldest member of the group, a man whose devastating, worldwide handsome visual is balanced by a legendary selfless humor, dropping all personal pride to make everyone laugh? Or will it be the golden, unstoppable force of nature himself, the youngest member whose hyper-humble, deeply polite demeanor disarms everyone he meets? Can you guess who takes the runner-up crown in the ultimate friendliness battle? Number 2. Jin, the worldwide icebreaker, sacrificing pride to make legends smile. Claiming the spectacular runner-up spot in our countdown is none other than the eldest brother of BTS, the legendary worldwide handsome himself, Kim Seok-jin. To truly understand why Jin lands at the absolute peak of friendliness, you have to look past his astonishing symmetrical visual features and look directly into his brilliant, selflessly comedic heart. Backstage at the massive 2026 FIFA World Cup final halftime show, surrounded by concrete tunnels buzzing with intense pressure, high-strung security details, and elite international stars, social friction and awkward silences were almost guaranteed. When colossal figures like Shakira, Madonna, and Justin Bieber share a room, people usually walk on eggshells, worried about saying the wrong thing or breaking unspoken celebrity etiquette. But Jin operates on a completely selfless philosophy. He will gladly sacrifice his own pride, drop his untouchable idol persona, and act like a total goofball if it means making the people around him feel comfortable and happy. Throughout BTS's historic rise, from their early variety show days to sharing stages with legendary bands like Coldplay, Jin has consistently taken on the heavy responsibility of being the ultimate social icebreaker. When Jin met Shakira backstage, he didn't try to look overly suave or intimidatingly cool. Instead, he flashed his signature broad, radiant smile, blew his famous dramatic hand kiss with hilarious theatrical enthusiasm, and cracked an endearing, light-hearted joke in his expressive English that immediately caused Shakira, her management team, and the entire surrounding crew to erupt into genuine, uncontrollable laughter. That is the magic of Kim Seok-jin. While many superstars use their status to build towering walls of exclusivity, Jin uses his humor as a wrecking ball to demolish every barrier in sight. Backstage observers noted that during the grueling World Cup dress rehearsals, when dancers and crew members were visibly exhausted from repeating complex stage markups in the blistering heat, Jin was constantly moving through the halls, casually handing out snacks, making silly faces at stressed-out camera operators, and engaging in energetic, animated bows that transformed a high-stress workplace into a lighthearted family gathering. His friendship with Coldplay's Chris Martin is a legendary testament to this exact quality. Chris famously felt such a deep, authentic warmth from Jin that he gifted him his prized personal guitar, a rare gesture of immense musical respect, born from Jin's pure, unpretentious charm. Jin intuitively understands that the fastest way to relieve someone else's anxiety is to make himself the punchline, proving time and time again that real confidence isn't about demanding authority, but about creating an environment where everyone else feels safe, relaxed, and deeply appreciated. Shakira and her veteran Latin dance troupe were thoroughly captivated by his bright, joyous spirit, recognizing that beneath his hilarious antics lies a deeply considerate, mature gentleman who cares immensely about the well-being of every single person in the room. Jin showed the world once again that true friendliness is a selfless act of love, using humor as a universal bridge to connect hearts across continents, languages, and cultures. But as we leave the hilarious, heartwarming warmth of our favorite worldwide handsome, we are officially down to the absolute peak of our list. Who could possibly claim the prestigious #1 spot as the ultimate undisputed champion of humble, genuine kindness? Could it be the golden youngest member? The unstoppable force of nature whose hyper-polite 90-degree bows, endless humility, and golden heart make him universally adored by every human being he meets? Get ready, because the ultimate rank is finally here. Number 1. Jungkook, the Golden Giant, extreme humility that touched world legends.
Standing at the absolute pinnacle of our countdown, taking the prestigious #1 crown as the undisputed champion of ultimate friendliness, is the golden youngest member himself, Jungkook. To truly understand why Jungkook sits at the very top of this ranking, you have to look beyond his staggering, record-breaking global statistics, his mesmerizing stage presence, and his undisputed status as one of the most formidable solo pop powerhouses of the 21st century. When you place this incredible artist into the chaotic, high-pressure ecosystem of the 2026 FIFA World Cup final halftime show backstage, a sweeping maze of concrete tunnels vibrating with the tension of world leaders, sports royalty, and global icons like Shakira, Madonna, and Justin Bieber, you might naturally expect someone of his blinding international status to move with a distant, untouchable aura. After all, Jungkook had already carved his name into FIFA history years earlier with his electrifying solo anthem, Dreamers, at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, proving to the entire planet that he could command the world's largest sporting stage all by himself. Yet, as he reunited with his BTS brothers on this monumental 2026 stage alongside Shakira, what utterly captivated everyone behind the scenes was not the grand presence of a self-important global diva, but the profound, breathtaking, and almost unbelievable humility of a young man who acts as if he is still the shy, wide-eyed 15-year-old boy who moved from Busan to Seoul with nothing but a dream in his pocket. Jungkook's unique brand of friendliness is not built on theatrical charisma or loud social networking. It is rooted in a deeply ingrained, completely instinctive reverence for every single human being he encounters, regardless of whether they are a legendary pop icon or an entry-level crew member carrying heavy equipment through the heat. Backstage witnesses repeatedly noted that while multi-platinum artists often traveled with impenetrable walls of bodyguards, Jungkook was constantly walking down the crowded corridors, executing his iconic textbook 90-degree bows to literally everyone he passed. Whether it was a top FIFA executive, a tired catering staff member carrying a heavy tray of drinks, or a stadium janitor sweeping up confetti, Jungkook treated every single individual with the exact same profound, heartfelt respect. His politeness is so deeply wired into his character that it completely disarmed the multinational production crew. During the grueling, exhausting dress rehearsals beneath the scorching stadium lights, when technical glitches caused tempers to flare across various artist camps, Jungkook stayed behind on the turf, bowing repeatedly to the exhausted camera operators and audio technicians, thanking them in his sweet, carefully practiced English for their relentless hard work. His famous lifelong habit, widely documented throughout his career, from local music shows to massive stadium tours, of actively picking up trash, neatly coiling stray stage cables, and clearing away discarded water bottles, was fully on display in the 2026 World Cup green rooms, leaving foreign staff members absolutely stunned by his total lack of celebrity entitlement. When Shakira entered the shared artist wing, she encountered a young man who, despite racking up billions of streams and breaking historical records with Seven and his acclaimed Golden album, bowed deeply and expressed such genuine, wide-eyed admiration for her musical legacy that it created an immediate, deeply touching emotional connection between the two artists. Shakira, who has spent decades navigating the hyper-competitive Western and Latin music industries alongside Hollywood's biggest egos, was reportedly deeply moved by Jungkook's pure, unpretentious soul. When discussing complex vocal transitions and stage positions, Jungkook listened with his entire body, nodding attentively, holding his breath with respectful discipline, and offering soft, incredibly warm smiles that made everyone in the room feel valued and heard. His friendliness is not a PR strategy or a calculated personality trait. It is a pure reflection of his core character, a world-class performer who possesses the power to shatter global records on stage, yet chooses to step off stage with the most humble, grounded, and considerate heart imaginable. In an industry where colossal fame so often breeds distance, Jungkook decisively proved on the world's grandest stage that true greatness is measured by how humbly you carry your crown, solidifying his spot as the ultimate, undisputed symbol of golden kindness and genuine human warmth.
And there you have it, the ultimate backstage vibe check from one of the most monumental, historic collisions of global music and sports the world has ever witnessed. When you take a step back and truly process the sheer, mind-boggling magnitude of the 2026 FIFA World Cup final halftime show at the sprawling, state-of-the-art New York, New Jersey stadium, where the legendary queen of Latin pop Shakira shared the blinding spotlight with the undisputed kings of K-pop, BTS, alongside massive icons like Madonna, Justin Bieber, and Coldplay, it is incredibly easy to get entirely swept up in the polished, multi-million-dollar television broadcast. We all saw the explosive, heart-stopping moment BTS hit the field in their stunning, high-fashion, Red Devils-inspired crimson outfits, seamlessly and cleverly adapting the lyrics of their mega-hit Dynamite, trading ping-pong for football, and bringing their breathtaking, sign-language integrated choreography of Permission to Dance to a massive stadium packed with over 80,000 screaming, emotional fans. We all felt the concrete stadium absolutely shake to its very core when Shakira brought the house down with her electrifying, culturally vibrant FIFA anthem, Die Die, proving once again why her artistry, her vision, and her historic legacy are entirely unmatched. But as this exclusive, heavily detailed deep dive into their notoriously guarded, chaotic backstage ecosystem has proven, the truly unforgettable magic, the raw, beautiful human moments that actually define who these generational artists truly are, happened far, far away from the flashing television cameras, the viral social media clips, and the deafening, anxiety-inducing roar of the intense Spain versus Argentina final match. What makes this specific, highly anticipated intersection of Latin and South Korean global superstardom so profoundly inspiring and deeply reflective is the beautiful, stark contrast between their untouchable, godlike, larger-than-life stage presence and their incredibly grounded, deeply empathetic, and almost astonishingly humble offstage personalities. In a ruthless, hyper-competitive, and often brutally isolating global music industry that so frequently rewards towering, uncompromising egos, aggressive diva behavior, and heavily manufactured artificial PR personas designed purely for maximum profit, every single member of BTS decisively flipped the script. From Suga's quiet, deeply observant and respectful reverence that anchored the chaotic room, and RM's brilliant, world-class, intellectually bridging diplomacy that united different cultures, to J-Hope's explosive, fearless, stadium-shaking joy that physically lifted the crew's spirits, Jimin's ethereal, disarming, almost angelic grace that melted the hearts of veteran superstars, V's soulful, jazz-infused, beautifully eccentric social magnetism that saw beyond the fame, Jin's hilariously selfless, barrier-breaking, pride-sacrificing humor that instantly destroyed any lingering tension, and finally, Jungkook's awe-inspiring, record-breaking golden humility that saw him bowing 90 degrees to the hard-working janitorial staff. They collectively proved to Shakira, the massive international production crew, and the entire watching world that the absolute ultimate, most intimidating flex of true power is remaining fearlessly, relentlessly, and stubbornly kind. They didn't just survive the suffocating,
terrifying, high-stakes pressure cooker of the world's biggest and most highly scrutinized sporting stage. They actively and deliberately transformed a highly stressful, sleep-deprived, multilingual work environment into a warm, supportive, creatively fulfilling, and beautifully unified global family, leaving a massive, indelible mark on everyone they interacted with, from heavily guarded A-list celebrities and high-ranking FIFA executives to the unsung, exhausted stagehands carrying heavy audio cables in the sweltering summer heat. It serves as a powerful, beautiful, and universal reminder that no matter how many billions of Spotify streams you accumulate, how many historic Grammy nominations you secure, how many prestigious Billboard records you completely shatter, or how many massive, gravity-defying stadium tours you sell out across the globe in mere seconds, your true, lasting legacy is ultimately defined by one simple metric: how you treat the everyday people around you when the blinding, intoxicating spotlights finally turn off and the cameras stop rolling. Shakira herself, a deeply philanthropic, fiercely intelligent, and culturally rich global icon who has spent decades masterfully navigating the treacherous, often unforgiving waters of global fame while building her own massive charitable foundations, recognized this rare, sparkling, unfiltered authenticity instantly, cementing a genuine, cross-cultural mutual respect that beautifully transcends language, geographical borders, and musical genres, proving that music and kindness are the only universal languages we need. As we finally wrap up this intense, emotional, and highly revealing documentary journey behind the heavy, velvet curtains of the 2026 World Cup, we leave it entirely up to you, our amazing viewers, to decide which specific member's unique, carefully detailed brand of friendliness resonated with your own personality the absolute most. Whether you would desperately need RM's grounding, articulate wisdom to keep you focused, J-Hope's endless, loud sunshine to boost your drained energy, or Jin's hilarious, unpredictable ice-breaking jokes to completely calm your racing nerves, their diverse personalities offer something profoundly comforting for absolutely everyone. Feel free to drop your most passionate thoughts, your wildest theories, and your absolute favorite hidden halftime show moments in the comments section down below, because we absolutely love reading your incredible, eagle-eyed insights and deeply personal reflections. Do not forget to aggressively smash that like button if you enjoyed this meticulously researched deep dive. Hit that subscribe button with all your might, and definitely ring that notification bell so you never ever miss out on our next thrilling, fact-filled, and emotionally charged documentary exploration into the hidden, fascinating, and beautifully human lives of your absolute favorite global icons. Until next time, keep streaming your favorite tracks, keep smiling through the hard days, and always, always remember to proudly spread that golden, barrier-breaking kindness wherever you go in this wild, beautiful, unpredictable world.